Welcome back, everybody. My name is the Yellow Jama, and today for you I have my Sacred Beast deck profile. This is the Sacred Beast that I currently have in real life. I do have a bit of a different build over on Dueling Book, which I will have I'm hoping to have that for next week's video. If not, it'll be the part 2 of the Megaton 2020 opening. Already opened the second tin, but if that's not what next Friday video will be, next week's video will be of this really good duel that I had with I genuinely think it's like the most powerful deck to ever exist, and I just had a lot of fun playing it against this one guy who was actually the most recent subscriber. So thank you very much for joining me. And he said I should probably do a deck profile on Sacred Beast since they're really good right now. So that's what I'm here to do. Now, this Sacred Beast deck profile isn't necessarily the most optimal one, but it is the one that I have in real life right now, and it does work fairly well. By fairly, I mean pretty well. It works pretty well. The one I have in Dueling Book where it's a little bit better, but I will talk about the changes between my Dueling Book one and the one that I have here in real life. But to get on with the deck profile, I play 2 of each of the Sacred Beasts. I like to play 2 Uriah, 2 Herman, and 2 Raviel just because I think Raviel and Herman are way too good to run at just one, considering Raviel is really your kind of win condition, because you want to boost him up with Shimmering Scraper to really just beat down your opponent. Or Herman's really good because it has the burn damage, and when paired with its spell card, it gives you a spell or trap in the gate along with the field spell, just makes them untargetable and they can't be destroyed, and they're just really good. And then Uriah, I play it too because most people play at least one Uriah, but I play a second one because you can actually access the fusion Armatile fairly well in this deck, and fairly consistently too. It's not always going to be the play you want to go for, but it is always an option that is available. So I do like to play two Raviel, just because to dump it to the graveyard, activate Dimension Fusion, and then bring out that Armatile, which is also protected by the Fallen Paradise. So you have a 10k beat stick that just can't be destroyed with card effects and unaffected. But on other effects, Uriah is special summoned from the hand by attributing 3 face-up trap continuous 3 face-up traps you control. Which the only traps you can control face-up are continuous ones. Which is odd enough that it just says 3 face-up traps. That doesn't say continuous. But its effect to gain attack does state that it has to be continuous traps in order to get its attack points. And once per turn, you can target one spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. And that card cannot be activated in response, which is a nice little bit of removal. It's not the best, but it is still nice since it can't be responded to. Next up is Herman. Herman is summoned by attributing 3 continuous spells. And when it destroys a monster by battle, you can burn the opponent for 1,000 damage. And while Herman is in defense, your opponent can only declare attacks on Herman. And then Raviel, a nice big beefy boy. He requires 3 fiends to be special summoned. Each time your opponent summons a monster, normal summons a monster, you get to summon 1 Phasme token, which is one of these things that you get with the structure decks. You get to summon one of these with 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense, and once per turn you contribute 1 monster you control, and Raviel will gain attack equal to the tributed monster's attack until the end phase, which is really nice. And then we got the 1 of Shimmering Scraper. I think this is best at 1, because if you get this off with Raviel, you should just win. So there would be no need to play more than 1. Plus, you can recover it really easily. So again, no need to play more than 1. You can special summon by hand by attributing 3 monsters. Don't know why you would ever do that though. You only ever really want to use its discard effect and its revival effect, which its first effect is you can discard this card, target Raviel, Lord of Phantasms you control. For the rest of this turn, its attack becomes double. And it can attack all monsters your opponent controls. So something that you can do with this is if you have Raviel and Herman, you can tribute Herman off of Raviel's effect to put him up to 12, or to put him up to 8,000, and then double him with Shimmering Scraper to make him 16,000, where you can then attack all the opponent's monsters. And if you have him underneath of a Pentasnag, he then will also do Piercing, which is just guaranteed to be game then if your opponent does not stop it. And then this other effect is you contribute 1 monster and add this card from your graveyard back to your hand. So that's that little bit of revival effect that it has, which is really, really nice. On the other monsters, I play 3 Dark Beckoning Beast. This is your primary playmaker. You really want to get this off to combo off a lot of times. Typically, if you have this, and if you either have Circle, Dark Summoning Beast, or Chaos Summoning Beast in your hand, along with this, you can almost always end on the same board, which would be 2 Sacred Beasts, along with the Fallen Paradise. So you got 2 big bodies and giving them protection, which is really, really nice. The Dark Beckoning has the effect of when it is normal summoned, you can add 1 Uriah, 1 Herman, or 1 Raviel from your deck to hand, or 1 card that specifically lists one of those cards in its text to your hand. And then during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Fiend with 0 attack and 0 offense, in addition to your normal summoner set this turn, which is really, really nice. Very rarely will you search the actual Sacred Beast. Sometimes you have to, but most of the time you want to search something else, like Circle, or if you already have Circle, you want to search for like Dark Summoning or Chaos Summoning. Next monster is Chaos Summoning, which this is, if you're going to tribute, this is one of the cards you want to use with your second normal summon, because you can tribute this off to summon this, tribute this, summon a Sacred Beast from deck, banish it, and then you search one. So this one's really, really good. This was the first primary way of summoning them from the deck, I believe. I don't think there was anything else that could really do it. But Dark Summoning has the effect of, you can tribute this card for cost to special summon a Uriah, Herman, or Raviel from your deck. Also, you cannot attack for the rest of the turn. You can only use this effect once per turn. You can banish the card from your graveyard to add a Uriah, Herman, or Raviel from your deck to your hand. That second effect is not once per turn, which I find that's kind of interesting that they just didn't make that one once per turn for whatever reason. Next up for monsters, I play 3 Chaos Summoning Beast. This is a really, really good level 1, which is why you play 1 for 1 on the deck, because it's a really good level 1 that just summons your Sacred Beast from your hand by tributing itself. And again, this is one of the cards that you can also do a normal summon off of Dark Beckoning Beast. So Chaos Summoning Beast has the effect where you contribute to special summon one of the Sacred Beasts from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. And you can banish this card from your graveyard to add a Fallen Paradise from your deck to your hand, which is really nice to be able to search Fallen Paradise. And then this is something I play in my IRL build, because right now it's more of just kind of a fun one until I'm going to get the stuff to make it better, because then I will start to play it a little more competitively. I'm playing 1 Fabled Chernobyl, which this was included in the structure deck, which I looked at and I thought, you can do some kind of fun stuff with this. But it's a level 2 tuner. When it's discarded to the graveyard, you can special summon it, which there are a lot of ways to discard it. You can discard it off of the opening of the Spirit Gates. You can discard it off 1 for 1. You can discard it off of stuff like Hyper Blaze. So you can discard this in a lot of different ways, primarily Circle, because then you can like summon back your level 5 and then special this. And then you can make like a Synchro 7 play, or if you have some other additional setup, you can even make Trishula in this deck, which I find really, really funny, because people don't ever expect you to drop Trish in Sacred Beast. But again, that's just for my mess around. For my IRL build, I've swapped this out for Darkest Diablos, because for Darkest Diablos, when you tribute a monster, you can special summon from your graveyard, and then you can tribute one, I think it's you tribute 1 dark monster to force your opponent to put a card from their hand on either top or bottom of their deck, which is a really nice little bit of hand rip. It is a once per turn effect. The first spell of the deck is Opening of the Spirit Gates. When this card is activated, you can search any of the Sacred Beast or a monster that lists one of the Sacred Beasts in its text. And once per turn, you can discard 1 card to special summon 1 Fiend with 0 attack and 0 defense from your graveyard. And once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add a continuous spell from your graveyard back to hand. So what's nice about this is, like, if you already have one on the field, you can discard a Circle to add back, or to special back, like a Chaos Summoning Beast. And then if you have one Sacred Beast on field, you can activate the effect and just add that Circle back to your hand, and you can activate another one. Something to note is, if you were to like activate one, do a search, you can't activate another. But if you have 2 on field already, or if you only have 1, you activate search, you can use both the revival effects. The revival effects aren't once per turn. or they're not a hard once per turn, because it's only on activation that you can search. It's not like a once per turn search effect. Next up in the deck, for a little bit of consistency, I play 3 Allure of Darkness because you play a lot of dark monsters in this deck. The only darks that you don't play, at least for me, is Chernobyl and Herman and Uriah. Everything else is a dark, and you don't really mind banishing it because you do have a card to help bring back your banished. But it's just a nice little draw 2 cards, banish a dark from your hand, which is really, really nice. Next up is 2 Fallen Paradise. I prefer 2 over 1. I know some people will play 1 just because they don't think you need to, but I really think 2 is a better number. In case your 1 gets popped, you have a follow-up to get another one out, because this is how your Sacred Beasts are going to survive, and especially if you want to bust out Armityle to go for game, which there is a 1-card combo to get to Armityle, which is really, really nice. I don't play that in this because it involves Verde Anaconda, and I do not currently own a Verde Anaconda. But this is just really, really good. And if you control one of the Sacred Beasts or Armityle, it's just a free pot of green, and you just get to draw 2 cards for free. So it's, on top of giving your monsters protection from being destroyed and targeted by your opponent's card effects, it also just gives you 2 additional cards once per turn, which I think is just really, really nice. Next up is 2 Cerulean Skyfire. This has the effect of, to special summon Herman from your hand using its summoning procedure, you can also attribute face down spells you control, which is to make them work the same way they worked in the show, because whatever the guy's name was, he just used regular spells and traps. He didn't use any kind of certain kind. So that's why they have that, is to match it with its anime effect. Once per turn, while you control a face-up Herman of Strike and Thunder, you can negate any spell or trap activated by your opponent, and then change Herman you control to defense. And then if one of the Sacred Beasts leaves your field, you take no damage for the rest of the turn, which is supposed to be, again, to Herman's effect of when it was destroyed, whoever Jaden was fighting, whatever the guy's name was, who used them, he didn't take the effect damage from the Shining Flare Wingman, because Herman just prevented him from taking damage. For the one-of spells, I play 1 Dimension Fusion Destruction. This just lets you banish the fusion material on a Phantasm monster. You get a banished material from your hand, field, or graveyard. And you will take no battle damage from attacks involving that, which is nice because Armityle will go to 0 attack during your opponent's turn, so it prevents you from taking damage, and it can't be destroyed by battle, and if you have the field spell up, it's immune to card effects and can't be destroyed by them, so it's going to be really, really hard for your opponent to get rid of that. And if you control one of the Sacred Beasts, your opponent can't activate cards and effects in response to it. Which I think the way that works is, if you have one of them on field, and you have the field spell up, you activate Dimension Fusion Destruction, banish the material, summon Armityle, and then even if your opponent tries to warning it, they can't destroy it. So I think that's how they work. I'm not entirely sure. I would have to check on that, but I think that is how they would work. But next up is 1 for 1. You just pitch a monster from your hand, summon a level 1 monster from your hand or deck. I actually never realized that said hand. I just read that right now. Don't know why you would ever summon from your hand, but apparently that is an effect that it has. But you use this primarily or pretty much only to summon out Chaos Summoning, since it is the only level 1 you play. Next up is 1 Call by the Grave, because again, that's all it's at. A Foolish Burial to dump one of the Sacred Beasts to the graveyard for the fusion spell, or to dump Dark Summoning Beast to the graveyard to banish it and get a search, or to dump, if you want to, you can dump Chaos Summoning Beast to use the circle effect to revive it, which does come up sometimes. 1 of Terraforming to search your Fallen Paradise if you can't get to it with Chaos Summoning. Next up is 3 Crackdown, Continuous Trap, really, really good for the deck. You target an opponent's monster, and you take control of the card, but while you control it, it cannot attack or activate its effects, which is interesting because its effects can, if they have mandatory, or not mandatory, if they have, I think if they have passive effects, they still apply because it does not negate the effects. It just says you cannot activate the effects. So something like Daigusto Spreeks, where it has a passive effect of your opponent taking all of your battle damage, it's not an activated effect, so I believe that would still apply with something like this, which is interesting. And when that monster leaves the field, destroy this card, which has some nice little synergy with the next card, Awakening of the Sacred Beasts, which is the only card to list Sacred Beast in its card text. Funny enough. But this card will gain effects based on the number of Uriah, Herman, and Ravaels you control with different names. If you control one or more, each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you gain life points equal to that monster's attack, which can just lead to insane amount of life points. I've gotten to over 30,000 life points just off this one effect once, and my opponent still didn't even manage to kill me because I had 2 Sacred Beasts on board, which is your best end board is to have Ravael, Herman in attack, Cerulean Skyfire in this set on the field, along with Fallen Paradise, because when you got 2 on the field, it acts as a one-sided skill drain, where you negate the effects of monsters your opponent controls, which is really, really good, especially that it's one-sided. And then if you happen to control all 3 Sacred Beasts, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. And then like the Circle has with reviving or recovering spell cards, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add a continuous trap from your graveyard back to your hand, being Crackdown. So you can really recycle your Crackdowns, which is just really, really nice because the monster you steal from your opponent, you can use as link material, or you can tribute it for Ravel's Effect boosted. I play the 1 Escape from the Dark Dimension to bring back my Chaos Summoning Beast when I banish it to get a search. Because the play is you would tribute summon it with the 2nd normal summon of Dark Summoning Beast, tribute it, summon a Sacred Beast, banish it to search, and then you special out Chaos Summoning, and then tribute Chaos Summoning, summon one from hand, banish Chaos Summoning, and then you eat your Paradise. You set this for next turn, and then you can set this, activate it, bring back your Chaos Summoning or your Dark Summoning, and then you just got a little Playmaker for next turn. Only problem with that card is it can kind of clog up your back row, which is why I only played 1 of it. And then I play the 1 Hyperblaze. Because of the fact of Uriah being my favorite of the three Sacred Beasts, I really wanted to give him some power to be able to play in the deck, and this really does allow Uriah to become quite powerful. Just the same effect as Cerulean Skyfire has, it gives Ravael his anime summoning effect, where to summon Uriah using its own procedure, you contribute face-down traps you control. Once per battle, when an attack is declared involving your Uriah, Lord of Serene Flames, you can send 1 trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard, which is really nice because if you have Awakening on field, you can send your Crackdown to the graveyard and then you can just recover it after the battle phase. You send 1 trap from your hand or deck to the graveyard. Ravel's attack and defense will become equal to the number of traps on the field and in the graveyards times 1,000 for the rest of its turn. And once per turn, you can discard 1 card to add a Sacred Beast or special summon 1 of the Sacred Beasts from your graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. Now, the thing to remember about that is that in order to summon them from the graveyard, they must first have been properly summoned to the field. So for the most part, you would use this for adding them back, but primarily what I use it for is for just that attack point boost above anything else. And that's it for the main deck. The main deck is, in fact, a 40-card main deck. On to the extra deck. I play the 1 Salamangreat Almirage, just because it's it can allow you to put the Dark Summoning Beast or Dark Beckoning Beast into the graveyard, and then it can help you give your Sacred Beast a little more protection if you don't happen to have Fallen Paradise or if your opponent has destroyed it. But this is also used in the 1-card combo where you normal summon Dark Beckoning Beast, search out Circle, you activate Circle, or no, I don't think you even need to activate Circle actually. No, you do not actually even need to activate Circle. So you can normal summon Dark Beckoning Beast, search Chaos Core, which Chaos Core has the effect of when it's targeted by a card effect, you can send 1 each of the Sacred Beast from your deck to the graveyard, and then place counters on it, and then do some other stuff, but you don't really care about that. But anyways, you then link off Dark Beckoning Beast into that, or use the 2nd normal summon to summon Chaos Core from your hand. You link off into Almirage, activate Almirage's effect, target the Chaos Core, activate Chaos Core's effect, or my bad, you will need Circle actually. So you search Circle and then search Core. Use effect, target the Core, trigger Core's effect, dump 1 of each. Use Circle effect, pitch a card, bring back Beckoning, link the 2 of them into Verde Anaconda, and then Verde Anaconda, dump the fusion spell, banish 3 of them, and then there is your Armityle, the Chaos Phantom. which is a really nice one-card common to get to that. But again, I do not own a Verde Anaconda at the moment, so I do not play that. But Olmar's are still really good to play because it does give your Sacred Beast a little more protection. Next up, I play one Linkuriboh for the fact of making Link 2 plays. If you have the Chaos or if you have one of the Raviel tokens, because they're a level 1 monster, so you go into Linkuriboh because a lot of your well, the two links that you play, which would be Pentastag and Verde Anaconda, require effect monsters, and as people know, tokens are not effect monsters, so you just kind of use Linkuriboh as that stepping stone. And then I play the one Pentastag, which is 2 effect monsters, and when it's co-linked, or not co-linked, when your linked monster battles a defense monster, you get inflict piercing battle damage, which is really good with Raviel, because he can attack everything, so he will be able to do massive damage. I have 2 Armityle in here. One of them should be Armityle, the Chaos Phantom, Phantom of Fury. You play it for every once in a while when you really do need it, which it does actually really help in some situations, because you just get to banish your opponent's entire board, or you force your opponent to banish their entire board, and then you just summon Armityle from your extra deck in defense, and then you just sit on it, next turn goes to attack, and then you just kill him with it. But Armityle summoned by banishing 3 Sacred Beasts you control, or you use the fusion spell for it. It cannot be destroyed by battle, and it gains 10,000 attack points during your turn only, which used to be the biggest monster until number 1000 and number Chaos 1000 came out. Anyways, next monster is Phantasm Emperor Trilogy. However you pronounce that. I never knew this card existed until I bought the structure deck, but it's kind of interesting because it can be used for a little bit of burn if you do need it. So if this card is special summoned, or if another monster is special summoned from the graveyard to your field while you control this monster, target a face-up monster your opponent controls inflicts damage to your opponent equal to half its original attack. You can only use this effect once per turn. So that's really all it's good for, is for a little bit of burn if you really need it for going into time. But primarily, if you're going to use the fusion spell, you want to make Armityle. For a little bit of a Synchro engine, just because of the Fabled monster. This is my fun build. Realistically, you wouldn't play these. We would play some like better links and some probably a few Xyz if you really wanted to. But I just play this Shiranui Sword Saga. Just because when it's special summon, I can change the battle position, and then I can banish it and summon a token, a Shiranui token, which is also just better to have. This is one of the more rare ones to make, since it's level 5, because you need Dark Beckoning, Chaos Summoning, and the level 2 tuner. So the synchros don't matter too much. They're just kind of a neat little engine I have for when it comes up, because I do find it funny to be able to just randomly synchro summon in a Sacred Beast against my friends, because they really don't see that happening in them. Gaia the Fierce Knight, or Gaia Knight, the Force of Earth, just a vanilla synchro 6. If you have 2 level 4s along with the tuner, you make this. Again, it's bad synchro engine just for some fun. Shiranui Squire Saga. This one's actually probably the best of the synchros in here, aside from Trishula, because you just need, with this one, you just need the tuner and Dark Summoning, which you can also use this with. Use Escape from a Different Dimension to bring it back from the banished, and then you discard, or you just normal special this. Because this is actually nice, because you can then banish it with its effect. To have all your monsters gain 300 attack. You can pop an opponent's spell or trap, and then you can also destroy a monster on the field, which is actually kind of nice. And then Wind Pegasus Adagnister, it's another Synchro 7. You can destroy all your opponent, or not all. You can destroy spell and traps from controls, equal number of Adagnisters. So basically, you get to pop a spell or trap. For another card you control destroyed by an opponent's card effect, while this card's on the field in the graveyard, you can banish the card, target a card opponent controls, and then just shuffle it away. So if this gets destroyed, you just kind of shuffle back an opponent's card. And then Trishula. Trishula is a little tricky to make, but it is possible. If you have Dark Summoning banished, you can summon it back, and then you circle to discard the Fabled monster to summon back your Dark Beckoning, and then Tuner monster brings itself back, and that gives you your Synchro 9 to be able to just banish some cards from your opponent, which is it's just funny to drop that on them. I play this random Mannequin Cat. for having 2 level 2s on the field, just because instead of having 2 level 2s that don't get their effects, I can have a 2k beat stick, which can allow me to summon like dark summoning or chaos summoning from my deck if my opponent controls a dark fiend, which is just kind of neat. Manipulator of Souls, again, instead of having this one's, I don't know why this one's in here, to be honest. It's just 3 level 2 darks, because if you somehow end up with all 3 of them in the field, it's just an Xyz to go into. Again, extra deck doesn't really matter too much in here. You would like take this out and play Vertic Anaconda instead. But again, I don't own that one currently, so I just kind of screw around with the extra deck. These are the 2 Xyz that I think actually matter. Number XX, Utopic Dark Infinity, which I think that's such a badass name for the Utopia monster. It just takes 2+ level 10 monsters, and when a monster is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can detach material from this card, target that monster, and special summon it to your field in defense. You can target one other face-up special summon monster you control and gain life points equal to its original attack. You can only use the effective number XX Utopic Dark Infinity once per turn. This can actually be used like for an in time thing. I don't know why you would use this over the Phantasm dude, but I guess like if you're going first, then it's not a terrible option, because then you literally just need to make one link monster that has attack points, and then there you go. And this is the main one that counts. Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Gustav Max. 2 level 10 monsters, detach material, and burn the opponent for 2,000 damage, which is basically just a little way to finish them off if you didn't quite beat them to death with your Sacred Beasts. So that's it for the deck profile, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This is a deck that I actually really, really love playing. I really didn't expect it to be as good as it is, but I really, really love this deck. It is so much fun. Because Sacred Beasts used to be such trash, but now they're like all of a sudden good, and they can actually do some really devastating plays to your opponent. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing if you want to, do whatever you want. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.